Hi, I'm Andre Faust, and today is February 21st, 2018, at about 17:30, 800 hours, or 5:38 for those who understand conventional time. As you can see, I'm out here in my just a flimsy little sweater. On my outdoor thermometer was showing 11 degrees Celsius. I mean, this is February 21st, right? So this is really, really warm. And throughout, I mean, all of 2018, it's all been bizarre. I mean, we did have a couple cold days, minus 24 back in January and at the beginning of February. But what we've been getting, the trend has been hot, cold. Maybe Mother Earth is going through menopause. I don't know. But anyway, what we see behind me is the St. John River, and on the far bank, the experimental farm. Well, I've been brought up, with water and nature all through my life ever since a little tadpole on. Water's been always something very, very important for me. I've dove it, I've boated it, I've water skied it, I've fished it, you name it, I've done it with it. And so I guess I'm a little bit more conscientious about environment and environmental issues that others might not be. For those reasons. Also having that, that hands-on touch, you do see changes from one period to another. Now, I'm an old fart, so I have a good memory. It's not like I was born in 1990s or in 1980. My memory starts where I can really remember details and whatnot. It was about 1970, and anyway, I guess in my memory, I know what's happened and what has changed. There's no questions there. But one thing that I am seeing is no matter how you cut it, there is something happening environmentally. It's changing. Now, there's two schools of thought on this. First school of thought is, that's just a natural occurring event. That's what the oil industry tries to sell. They spend a lot of dollars and cents on that propaganda bit. BP oil actually got caught paying off scientists to give them the results that they wanted to. Oh, yes, let's trust the big boys. They're honest. Yeah, right. And then there's the second school of thought, and that's the school of thought that I subscribe to. And that is that yes, there is a natural cyclical environmental change that's happened ever since the dawn of time. But that's at a certain rate. We know that rate, and how do we know that rate? Is from the testings that we've done in the both extremes, the north and south poles. Putting in rods into the glaciers, and so we've got a pretty good baseline of what is a normal rate of change. But what we have now seen when we look at the numbers is that ever since the Industrial Revolution, the speed has increased, and it seems to correlate with our advancement of technology. The quicker that we can process things on, in the manufacturing section, the more waste that we're putting out. I mean, it's just, a 1-to-1 ratio type of thing. Now, one thing you have to understand is how business works, right? Like, business among themselves aren't too loyal. As a collective, they might get together to plan and organize a strategy to try to maximize consumer purchases. But independently, they don't give a rat's ass about the next guy. So I'm going to use this example, right? Here it is, and it's just, I'm not endorsing Ford. I could be using, I'll use Bricklin, for those that can remember what Bricklin was about. But for the sake of the example, I'll use Ford. Ford builds cars. And then you have the oil industry. And both want to maximize as much profit as possible, right? Two separate entities. But one doesn't give a rat's ass about the other. So consumer demand for vehicles that are energy efficient, that do not rely on fossil fuels, that are totally self-sustainable, that demand goes up. Well, Ford doesn't care that that's going to affect the oil industry. they're just interested about their own profit, well, which is good from us, from the environmental point. Not good for the guys out in Alberta, right? Because they're seeing an industry that's dying, right? And you know, the point of it is that fossil fuel is becoming an endangered species. As we move on in the timeline and as we become more efficient in producing solar panels, windmills, thermo-geo, and all this here, that's going to take a big chunk out of the fossil fuel industry. A considerable amount of buying or consumer purchases from it, because right now one of the biggest consumers of fossil fuel is energy to operate our vehicles, and energy for heat. That is one application, and fossil fuel, of course, is not only used for that; it's also used in pretty well every polymer that you can think of, meaning plastics, of course. So that may stay constant, but the big hardcore consumer, the energy part of it, is going to drop down. So why produce, again, I'm just throwing numbers out here, 5 million barrels a month when the market's no longer going to buy 5 million barrels a month. Now these guys, they try all these little tricks right now to keep the prices up. Yeah, of course they do. They'll hold on. They'll hold on price. Basically, they'll do price fixing. They'll say, here's what the price is going to be. So they increase the price. And they're playing all these kinds of games, right, and trying to keep their profit levels are. But to finish off, the oil industry is losing a battle, and in 15 to 20 years, it's going to be a very obsolete industry. Till next time, I'm Andre Faust. Take care.